president at bottom of the 420th inning. So there's a crack in the bat. It's hit. He's running. He's rounding first. He's rounding second, completely ignoring third base. Oh, he's sliding head first into 69th base with Doug Mellard.
What up? Welcome to 69th Base. This is the podcast where I make fun of all the arguments and idiotic hot takes, in quotes, that come out of the mouths of people like Skip Bayless, these, in quotes, experts in the sports world that really have no idea what's going on. And I'm your host, Doug Mellard. Thanks for tuning in. It's going to be a little bit of a different episode this week. It's just me. I'm flying solo. I'm recording this remotely downstairs in one of my oldest friends' living room while he and his family sleep. So, I hope I don't wake them up, because that would be horrible, that me talking to myself about Skip Bayless would be a rude awakening for anyone. But, so it's going to be maybe a little bit shorter episode. I also hope, if I don't get the help of Mikey on audio, that I don't just completely blunder it. So, let's see how this goes. That's the way to start off the podcast. Hey, hope you guys enjoy this. Maybe it's going to be a train wreck. I am in Austin. I'm out here to record Fart Safari 3, Fart Hard with a Vengeance. It's been a crazy weekend. All positive. It's been great. It's been fantastic. Just been balls to the wall, running and gunning. It's been nuts. I did get to see my buddy Tom Segura tape his Netflix special on Saturday. That was incredible. You guys have something very cool to look forward to. I'm very excited for you guys to see it. It was, oh my God, it's next level. It's good shit. Maybe some of you guys were at the taping. I can't believe it. It was awesome. And big shout out to him. And Josh Potter, who opened up, who's been on the podcast, he killed it as well. It was good seeing those guys. We got to hang out a little bit after the taping. And then Sunday night was the night of my recording. Tom was cool enough to throw me on to do a spot at the Paramount on his show here again in Austin. The next night, they had two shows. Josh was opening again. And it was a really fun time, and big thanks to him for letting me hop on. I had an absolute blast. It was such a great crowd. His fans are always the best. And but it was like a weird, I went from the Paramount. He had a 7 o'clock show. My album recording was at 8 o'clock. And I basically got off stage, said thank you to Tom, and said goodbye to him and Josh, ran out the back door, and drug a suitcase with my merch to my brother-in-law, who was waiting on the street because he's the best, jumped in his car with my wife, and hauled ass across town to Cap City Comedy Club. For my recording, it felt very like Mission Impossible or something. It was a little nerve-wracking. I had to be in constant communication with the club. Like, okay, traffic looks good. The show started on time. Should be okay. Because I basically got off stage around 7:30, and it's about 15-20 minutes to the club. But I did get there still early before the show started. Got to say hi to some friends. And then I am excited and proud to say that the first taping of Fart Safari 3, Fart Hard with a Vengeance, went really well. Thank you to everybody that came out. I am very excited about how it went down. It was a great crowd. Big shout out to Ron Leckler and Amber Bixby for opening. They were funny. I love those guys, that guy and gal. And it was so fun. I really had a great time. I and it feels good now knowing I have one more taping on Wednesday, but it's always a good feeling when you know you have that safety net. So now on Wednesday, I can just, fuck it, doesn't even matter. I can sync that taping. No, it's just, I think I'll be even more loose because I know I've already got one really solid tape. So really looking forward to that. So that's Wednesday, same place, Cap City Comedy Club, 8 o'clock. And big shout out to Jeremy, Neal, and David James, and everybody that came out. Jeremy's probably listening. Thanks again, and thanks for getting drunk with me after the show. Sorry I got so tired at the end. I was just faded. But yeah, so we're going to have a good show. We're going to talk about me. I'm going to talk about the helmet fight, of course. Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. Skip hedging a bet again. A weird quarrel between Skip Bayless and someone. Some Instagram news. And, start a new rumor and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be fun. But first, I was just thinking about randomly, my friend here has a wild dog that's been running around, and she'll eat some random crap. And I was thinking about back to childhood. I remember our dog, Vicky, growing up. She was supposed to be a Cocker Spaniel, full-blooded, but she turned out to be half lab. She had short hair. She was supposed to have long hair, and just completely not at all what we had tried to purchase. And my parents were very upset about it, and they gave us like most of our money back and all that. And it's crazy to get your money back for a dog that you still keep. None of that makes sense. But she was, it's weird. Loved that dog as a kid. That was our dog, I previously actually had, when we were real little, dogs named Chili and Beans, these rat terriers that were crazy. But I love those dogs. But Vicky, she was nuts. Looking back, she was not a good dog. You still loved her because I was a kid and that was our dog. But boy, was she wild. You couldn't leave her around food. She would just destroy your plate. She would like hop up on a thing and get creative to eat your food. Anyway, one time, she would tear something up every once in a while, but that was mostly as a puppy. But one time, she did eat a G.I. Joe action figure. And I remember seeing that action figure get shit out by her. And it was, very funny at that age. I don't remember how old I was, but I can still envision this, like, G.I. Joe coming out of her asshole just in this, had to be hot. Just hot shit. Just this fudge factory just being birthed out of her asshole and just slowly falling to the ground and just like, oh my God. And, that poor G.I. Joe, yeah, just frozen in shit like Han Solo in the carbonite, I would rather be that G.I. Joe frozen in the shit carbonite, slowly being slathered out of my dog's asshole than to have to be Skip Bayless for 10 minutes. Yeah, I think most of you would agree with that. So there's that. Normally, this would be the part of the podcast where I would take a time out and then bring the guest in, but I'm not doing that because I have no guest. I was going to try the friend that I'm staying with. We went to high school together. A lot of the wildest stories that I tell involve him. So I was actually hoping to get him on, but he had to pass out. I wanted to get him on to kind of have his side of some of these crazy stories and to laugh at me. I will do it at some point just for you guys to hear the story part. Plus, he's a Cowboys fan. He's equally frustrated with me and shares the same take on Dak Prescott and much more. But and I also wanted to have Jeremy Neal. Jeremy, if you're listening, sorry I screwed that up. It was kind of a weird day of me running around and really needed to get this done now. Anyway, so because I don't have a guest, I'm just gonna go ahead and share a story with you real quick. Another story other than the G.I. Joe shit guy. I threw out a bunch of stories I'm looking at in front of me. Oh boy, I did some dumb things when I was younger. But I'm going to tell one that's a little bit more recent. This is from my honeymoon, which was wonderful. We went to Thailand. It was beautiful. I cannot recommend going enough. It is gorgeous, and the ticket over there can be expensive, but once you get over there, you live like a king. It's insane. We stayed in a hotel at one point. It was the biggest splurge we had, and it was nothing. It would be like staying at a Holiday Inn here, except we had our own private pool. It was fantastic. One other cool thing about many places in Thailand, they offer up mushroom shakes, and it's great. And uh, I'm blanking on the name, and I'm not doing this out of my place, so I can't yell out to my wife to give me the answer. But I can't remember which city this was, but it was on the beach. It was beautiful, and it was like an island. But anyway, we did mushrooms there twice, I think in 2 days. And the first time we did it, um, we actually wandered through. We did this jungle hike, and when we came out the other side, there was like this abandoned like uh, resort kind of thing, and the only thing that had anyone in it was this weird little hut that had mushrooms, like psychedelic paintings of mushrooms all over it. And there were these guys that were just yelling, mushrooms, mushrooms. And we were like, yeah, but not yet. And then we went to the beach, had a cocktail on this isolated beach that we had to ourselves, and then went back. We actually had to wake up the mushroom guys because I'm pretty sure they had taken a bunch and they were just passed out hallucinating or whatever. And then they made us these mushrooms. And honestly, like, it was a weird feeling because it felt very adventurous because they were, I mean, fresh mushrooms. And, there's no regulations to this. We're getting them from these guys that we had to wake up in the jungle to eat. And so so these guys, are making us these shakes, and I don't know what these are going to do to me, like it was a little nerve-wracking. And so I kind of played it conservatively. I just drank the shake, and then we had to walk back through the jungle. By the way, you could run into a cobra. It could happen. They are out there. You did hear lots of monkeys. It was so cool. It was a legit jungle, and there was barely a trail. It was very cool. But it was a weird thing of like, God, if I run into a cobra on mushrooms, is that going to be good or bad? I don't know. Can I communicate with it with my head? Um, we make it through the jungle. My body's feeling a little tingly, but it wasn't crazy. But when you're done with drinking the shake, there are like an actual like ton of mushrooms in the shake, and I pulled all those out, and we put them in an Ozarka bottle, and we just held on to them because we are like, let's drink the shake, see what that does, and then if we need more, we can re-up with these guys. So we just carried that around, and we went to our hotel pool that like overlooked the ocean, and we just nibbled all day, and they were tame, but they were great. Like you could go in and out of the trip. It was kind of perfect, and but nothing crazy. We went and kind of like we're surrounded by these giant like cliffs on this one beach at sunset. It was awesome, but very like controllable, fun trip. The next day, we go and we grab a bite, and we're having a drink, and we run into these Canadian tourists, this group of women. We're talking to them about the mushrooms. We get them excited. We're like, yeah, these mushrooms are very tame. You should totally do it, because they were a little nervous. I was like, totally the chillest shrooms. You're going to love it. But we didn't really tell them where we got them. And like an hour later, we went to this mushroom bar, which was much more accessible than that weird jungle hike we did. So if we did talk these women into getting mushrooms, they probably went to this bar that was right around the corner because it was the most visible place to get it. And we did those there. And I mean, within a minute, maybe 2 minutes, tripping balls. It was crazy. It was instantaneous, and it was very. You hear that? I'm still got it. It was instantaneous, and uh, we realized. I remember telling Flynn, I was like, "We have to go right now," because like I didn't want to be, even though it was like partially outdoors, this little bar. I didn't want to be like in an enclosed space. But we realized why they had places to nap at that mushroom bar, and why they had places to lay down. It was because these were hardcore. Like you were tripping your balls off. And we treated it just like the jungle thing, the jungle mushrooms, where we just downed it. And they were not the same at all. And I just pictured those Canadian girls the next day just fucking freaking out on these mushrooms. But you know, we can handle ourselves pretty well. And they were still like great. Like it was a great trip, but just very intense. And we took this kind of long walk. And by the way, part of the walk, we ran into some monkeys that were kind of hostile, and that was trippy. And then there was a part where you could go through these little tiny cave walkways. That was really fun on mushrooms. I think normally I would have been terrified going into like this kind of small enclosed space. Not on mushrooms. Loved it. It was great. And then on the other side of all that, on this beach, there's a cave that just has like, I don't know, a few hundred giant penises. Like these giant, like wooden and metal and just different giant cocks, just hanging out in this cave. I'll try to find a picture to share with you guys. Somebody had told us there was a penis cave, but when we heard that, we just assumed it was going to be like a cave with like stalactites, you know, like hanging down, that were shaped like penises. But no, it was actual dicks everywhere. They're all over Thailand, but there was a dick cave. It was very hilarious on mushrooms. We were giggling for probably hours. It felt like, at least. We went from there down the beach a little bit, and beautiful beach. And we had to do this weird long walk, and we're tripping balls, and the tide's kind of heavy, kind of crazy, but we made it to the other side. And on the other side, we had this whole beach to ourselves. Like just the two of us, tripping balls with this, like, I don't know, 100-yard beach to ourselves. And it had this cool forest behind us, with all this weird, like, a little bit of art. Like, I don't know who hung this shit up, but it was incredible. And we're overlooking these cliffs in the water, and just beautiful. And we are tripping our faces off, and it's perfect. But at one point, my wife's swimming in the ocean, and I'm picking up sand and just staring at it, or looking at the clouds, one or the other, and just having the best time. It was awesome. And then I noticed these black clouds moving in. We went during monsoon, or not monsoon, whatever, like maybe monsoon season. It was like a rainy season. You can get even cheaper shit. It's great. And we only had two problems, and this was one of them, but mostly sunny regardless, except for this moment. Very black clouds rolling in. And I yelled to my wife, like, come back in, come back in. And she comes back in. I was like, hey, and, you know, we're tripping. I was like, we have to go right now. Do you see those black clouds? She's like, yeah. I was like, we have to go, because if we don't, we might get kind of stuck here, because the tide's going to get real nuts with this storm. And we didn't want to have to like fight that. And she agreed. She's like, yeah, we need to go. This could maybe even get dangerous. And then she goes, whoa, hold on. Oprah Winfrey is telling me to get in the ocean. And I was like, well, then why are you still talking to me? Go do that. That you can't deny that. So she goes back into the ocean. She plays. She has the best time. I am still looking at sand, looking up at the clouds, also having the best time. And then, oh my God, I look up. I see black clouds rolling in. And I'm like, holy shit. I yell at her, hey, you got to come in. And she's like, what's up? And I was like, see those black clouds? if that storm hits, tide's gonna be crazy. We don't want to fight that. We should go back. She's like, yeah, I agree. And then she says, you know what? Oprah's telling me to get in the water. And I was like, yeah, gotta go do that. Why would you say no to that? She goes back in the water. We do this, I don't know, 6 times maybe more. We were just caught on this loop where we were forgetting that the clouds were there. Like, it was ridiculous. But the caveat to get us to go back, all of a sudden, my stomach starts gurgling in a way that I know I'm about to have diarrhea real bad. And, I know a lot of friends that anytime they do mushrooms, they either throw up or they have a lot of diarrhea or something. I've only had that issue like maybe twice. And, I've never thrown up, I don't think, but I have shit my brains out before. And it was hitting me in a way that was like, man, this is not gonna be fun. So I was like, okay, we gotta go for real now. I have to shit my brains out. She's like, okay. So we start walking, do this hike back. The whole island's pretty tiny, but on the mushrooms felt like it took forever. We passed by the aggressive monkeys again, the caves, the dick cave, all that stuff. Get back to the hotel. This is the hotel with the private pool. We get there. I had forgotten that I had stopped up the toilet and previously. So when we get there, I'm like, oh shit. The reason I did stop it up, it was they had the thing where you couldn't put toilet paper down the toilet. You had to put it in the trash can next to it. And we both just kind of refused, which then came back to haunt us. We just thought if we kind of flushed a lot and lightly did it, it would be okay. It was not. I clogged the toilet and forgotten. We're now tripping, and my stomach is just giving me warning signs. And I'm like, fuck, I have to go talk to somebody at the front desk. I go to the front desk. I don't want to talk to any strangers, let alone people that might have a language barrier. Although we didn't really experience that much in Thailand. But we go to the front desk, or I do. My wife just swam in the pool and had the best continual trip in the pool. And she talked to a frog. It was awesome. But meanwhile, I'm talking to this stranger. Hey, I need someone to fix the toilet. They're like, yeah, 5 minutes. Well, that 5 minutes took, I don't know, 30 minutes. I go back again. They're like, yeah, we've only got one guy. He'll get to you. It takes, I don't know, close to an hour. And so I literally would just watch my wife swim while I sat there, because if I moved too much, it was real bad. I never thought to find another restroom, like a public restroom that the hotel would offer, which they definitely had. So this is the only way I can shit in my head. So I'm just sitting there, just waiting. Finally, a guy shows up, and I tell the guys, give me the plunger. Oh, yes, I'm leaving out one of the most important parts. I waited so long that, and my stomach just started, it kept going. I finally was like, I can't hold it back. And I shit my fucking brains out. It was so horrid. A lot of times you can't smell your own shit in the making. I definitely could that day. It was the worst. It was the worst experience. And it felt like it was so much and so powerful that I felt like it was like stacking up under me, and I was going to hit the ceiling because of this giant shit pile. So I do that, and the whole time I feel guilty. I'm still tripping, and I'm just like, there's going to be somebody that comes here any minute to fix my toilet. So that guy's finally there. And I'm like, dude, do not go in there. Just give me the plunger. I will fix this. And everybody in that culture, everybody that we came across, were the nicest people. They were incredible. They were so gracious, so welcoming. And he refused. He was like, no, this is my job. I'm going to do this. Don't worry. You just have a good time. And so he refuses. He plunges for, I don't know, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. We're also tripping, so time is different. But then he can't get it. He gets a second guy. Second guy comes over, and that guy can't fucking do it either. 2 dudes, 1 toilet. And then, finally, it took like an hour and a half. They got a third guy come. I think I was doing some Instagram live stories during this where my eyes were all fucking dilated as all hell. And I was just laughing about how I'd stopped up the toilet. And third guy comes, still can't get it. It took this industrial machine and they finally left. And I was so embarrassed. By that time, the trip's like wearing off. My wife has had the best day and she's also laughing at me. And then I was like, as soon as, that's all taken care of, I can shit one more time. I finally just feel relief in all senses. And then I'm like, okay, honey, I'm getting in the pool. And she's like, oh, I'm done. I'm going to go to bed. I'm real tired. And I was like, God damn it. But anywho, feel like I really accomplished something that day when I shit. And shit so hard, I had 3 men attempt to unclog it, and it wouldn't happen. So there's that. It's quite a feat. Normally, my guests would react to it and be like, that's the craziest, funniest thing that I've ever heard. You know what I mean? But they're not here to do it. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Now moving on to sports and Skip Bayless and all that. Okay, I just got to talk about the helmet fight for a second because it happened. There's, again, when something big like this happens, like Antonio Brown, all of his shenanigans this year, or this helmet fight, I want to talk about it because that's dominating the news quite a bit. But, when Skip and Shannon or any of these shows like that talk about this stuff, they're generally in agreement that was insane, So I can't really make fun of their takes on it because everybody knows it was crazy. But it was crazy. It's nuts. I was at a bar. I'd just flown into Austin. I just got off my plane. I was with my buddy Mike Wiebe, who's been on the podcast. We were at a bar around the corner from his place having like a couple drinks. And he's, he addressed this on the podcast. He's not a sports guy at all. But we heard people screaming at the bar. The game was not on the TV that we were in front of. But we hear people just like, holy shit. And I just assume, it was like a basketball game or so, I don't know. Like, I thought I think I saw Golden State was playing. I was like, Steph Curry must have done something fucking crazy. But it keeps going because they're replaying it 1,000 times. And then we hear the bartender run over and he's just like, oh my God, he's explaining this one guy, this motherfucker took his helmet off and started beating up the guy with it. And I'm like, whoa. And we're all screaming like, put it on, put it on. And it's crazy. Even Mike, who's not a sports guy, is just like, what the fuck, put it on. This, like, we got to see this. And the dude puts it on, but he was so excited he was running around telling everybody around the bar this, and it's a big bar, so he neglected. He thought he'd put it on. He put it on, but there was all this like these graphics from the TV with like not the sound, but I don't know, like the guide or something, to where we could only see their feet during the fight. So all I saw was like, somebody's head would hit the ground. I'm like, yeah, that looks like it's crazy based on their foot movements, but it took me a while to actually see the actual replay. But then, holy shit. Yeah, I mean, there's not, what do you say? Somebody, I can't remember, sorry that for the Twitter handle that shouted out at me on 101X with Jason and Deb the other morning on radio, but you were asking about my take, but I mean, what other take is there other than holy shit, what was that? I guess my big thing is I feel like there's an element of the story that's missing. I feel like something was said that had to have set him off. Because Myles Garrett's done a couple little things here and there, but not like that. So I am very curious as to what was said on that field, because I have a hard time believing he just did that, But what was crazy too is, I guess some people are saying like it is a little bit weird that Mason Rudolph was just completely the victim, but you know, he did kind of try to pull that helmet off. That was shouldn't do that. But there's no excuse for what Garrett did. But good lord, but I do think Rudolph was an idiot because he's been hit in the head with a helmet. He keeps going back for more. Like he shouldn't have even. Like it felt like he was stirring it up a little bit, and again, like it was uh, beyond horrible the way he attacked him, but like, dude, he could have done that with his fists. Like he could have crushed Mason Rudolph. He's Myles Garrett. He's a beast. Uh, Mason Rudolph needs to learn to pick on somebody's own size. I didn't. It felt kind of like a pitcher in baseball that's kind of just waiting for the team to get his back. It's kind of what I gathered. But good lord, we need more of that. Felt like hockey. That's what Mike said. He was like, dude, it's crazy that this was just like any game in hockey ever. But boy, so curious to see how all that plays out. Like the actual, like if he's going to be suspended multiple games next year or whatever. All right, Cowboys. Let's talk about them for a second. Guys, and again, I'm sorry. Like I did not kind of going story heavy on this one because it's just me, and I was so hyper focused on getting my set right for the album and doing promotional stuff like radio and other things that I just did not even get to pay too much attention to sports. Unfortunately, this weekend I did get to watch a chunk of the Cowboys game, and gotta say, it was very frustrating once again. Dak, he had a killer game. He looked really good, but it's the same thing where early on it was like, oh God, here we go again. The Lions are probably going to go up on us because Dak can't get hot early, but he got hot late and we won. And, Skip pumped up Dak Prescott once again as being the greatest quarterback of all time or whatever. But I would have preferred that he does a little bit more early and that we win by a lot more points. We almost let the Giants or the Lions beat us with their backup quarterback and running back. Yeah, you heard that. Exactly. That'll be my guest, Umberto. That's what my wife calls my asshole. So I hear you on that, Umberto. Um, yeah, like I just, how do we let them stay in that game? Dak's got to put him away, and Zeke wasn't doing much, but and I know it's our defense too, but yeah, friends used to like give me shit, and a lot of people hated on Tony Romo, but it's the same problem that he had, where it was like, uh, he would put up 51 points, and the defense would allow 40, or he would put up 51, and the defense would allow 52 or whatever. So I don't know. If you're gonna tear down Romo, you gotta tear down Dak for the same fucking thing. But we won. But it just doesn't feel like a very good victory. And it's like, wow, if we're letting the Lions and their backup fucking quarterback, who's not good, kind of beat up on us a little bit, what are we gonna do against the Patriots coming up? Like, good lord. By the way, Skip once again hedged his bet, as he always does, just like he had hedged his bet with the Giants and the Redskins and everybody this year. Even if it's an opponent, he just kept saying Stafford's gonna win or Stafford's gonna play. He was demanding that was gonna happen, and he was saying, he was basically saying like we're a Jekyll and Hyde team, like I've been saying the whole fucking year, but he's finally getting it. So he's starting to waver, at waffle as he always does, and he was so he said he wouldn't place a bet on the game because he can't trust the Cowboys. Well, that's kind of hedging your bet, and also, if you're really a fan, you gotta have faith that they're gonna win. I thought they were gonna win. I thought it would be a little bit more dominant, But I think that's kind of a shit move as a fan. Um, some gotta share this with you guys. This was so ridiculous on the show on Skip's show. Skip got into a little bit of a tiff with Ezekiel Elliott's mom. That's right, Mrs. Elliott. Maybe it's Missy Elliott. Is Missy Elliott Zeke's mom? Um, because Skip did a promo video for his show Undisputed, where he had a picture of Zeke that he like had next to his bed or something, and I guess Zeke's mom saw that he had thrown his Ezekiel Elliott jersey away, and she didn't care for that. And she came at Skip Bayless, and I guess they sent her a signed picture of Skip Bayless, which who the fuck would want that? I think that's what it's been a while since I heard all this. This was last week, but she ended up, I think, said she was gonna give her thing away or throw it away. She seemed pretty pissed off and thought Skip Bayless sucks, and as we all do. And so it's this funny thing where Skip's kind of defending himself, but also very much backtracking. And during this whole thing, couldn't help but notice, but Skip just throws Shannon right under the bus. He just could not. I feel like it just shows who. Because I feel like he really did feel upset by the whole thing. That he didn't like that Zeke's mom doesn't validate him or doesn't like him. So I feel like he did feel kind of cornered, and Troy Aikman already hates him, so he doesn't want to lose like another person's support. So he just throws Shannon right under the bus. I really think that's kind of shows who he really is. So I thought that was interesting, and I love that all the Cowboys hate him. I bet even Dak Prescott, I'm sure, even though he's like his biggest supporter, I bet Dak hates him. I bet they all do. And I think that's fun for Skip Bayless to know that the thing he loves most hates him. It's not reciprocal. And the whole argument or whatever, the whole segment ended with him saying, Zeke, I still got your back. Like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? You threw his jersey away. You piece of shit. Don't fucking flip again. Once again, he had said they used to call him Never Flip Skip. He flipped in that segment. Piece of shit. But that was freaking hilarious. Later in the show, Zeke's mom did like tweet back out that she would keep the picture because he kind of somewhat apologized. It was ridiculous, but also very funny. Kind of think maybe we should get Zeke's mom on the show. Mikey was talking to me about that, but she ended up kind of going back to Skip, so that sucks. But anyway, one thing I was thinking about this week, we've kind of talked about this, but I think it's amazing that Skip Bayless watches these games, and like when he's watching them, he really feels like he is a part of it and he has something at stake. Like he watches it like it's this homework, and that like if the Cowboys lose, he has lost a bit of his reputation. When really it doesn't matter. He could just enjoy the game like a normal fan, but I think he really probably sits there and is like, I mean, if the Cowboys don't win, I'm going to look ridiculous and Shannon's going to be right. And meanwhile, cut over, like, I wish you could do a split screen of Shannon watching the same game that Skip's watching at home. God, how fun would that be? And it's just Skip on one side of the screen just freaking the fuck out and screaming at his dog and being a monster and punching things, and then Shannon just probably having a drink and laughing and on his phone texting somebody and just kind of like goofing off and having fun like you do with the game, talking to some friends. He probably has a bunch of friends over. Meanwhile, Skip's in his room alone, won't allow his wife to come in. It's It's real sad, but it's just crazy. Like, imagine living like that, like in this imaginary life where, like he thinks he has a reputation at stake and he really has no such thing. No one respects him. It's not going to change. Nothing's going to change. It's just a matter of how much we're going to laugh at him with how dumb his take is, How far does he go? Uh, some more weird insight on Skip Bayless. Some other news in that world. Skip announced on his Twitter or Instagram that his wife is now joining Instagram. So Ernestine is on. It's ernestine.sclafani.bayless. So that's easy to find. That's mistake number one. That's a lot. Good Lord. Oh, and she's got kind of like this weird, looks like almost she's trying to be sexy in her little pic in the top left or whatever. Wonder how Skip feels about that. Probably hates it. Seems like a bit of a jealous control freak, I would imagine. But she's got 10 posts. Nothing crazy so far, but I'm waiting for it. A lot of interviews. She did one of the interviews was just like her talking about how she wasn't into sports until he came along. But one of the posts says, "It's nice to know I have Skip Bayless's undivided attention unless King James is playing." And I can't remember if we addressed this or not, but can you imagine that, like, he hates LeBron James. He hates LeBron James. And that hatred, apparently, even according to his own wife, takes precedent over his wife. Like, can you imagine being that petty? That and we have talked about this, he claims that he watches every LeBron James game. Can you imagine watching something because you fucking hate them that much? Like, I hate the Patriots, but I do not like watching the Patriots because I hate them. If they're playing my team or playing a team or like in a playoff game, I want them to lose. I root against them, but I'm not gonna fucking watch them out of that hatred. Like, I don't care. Like, whatever. But just the idea that like he's just gonna sit there and watch every LeBron James game, claiming that he's not good, which is crazy to begin with. And that's going to be more important a priority than like having dinner with his wife or whatever. That is crazy. But, once again, don't follow. Or maybe you should follow Ernestine. I don't know. Maybe you should support her. That would make more sense than supporting Skip because, she wrote that book that's a cry for help. So, it just looks like she's going on a big press tour for that whole book. That looks like what her whole little thing is. Skip had a video, I guess, after the game where he's just talking about how this is all Dak's team now. It's just completely Dak's team. He's the only thing on that team that's worth anything. I would argue that there's some receivers and a great running back and many other great players, but sure. Go with that, old man. Going back to Ernestine for just a second. My man Rob, I think Mikey last week told everybody, hey, go to the Amazon, write a bad review. But my man Rob, apparently, a listener, funny dude, apparently, I guess he tried to do that and they wouldn't allow it. So I don't know if that's Skip at work or Amazon or what, but apparently he tried to leave a bad review and it didn't take. Thought that was interesting. Maybe they're on to us, 69ers. Before I get to the rumor real quick, meant to do this way up top, but guys, as always, thanks for listening and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe. Please do that. You have no idea how far that goes. It's very helpful. It will help us to expand and, pick up more steam. So we appreciate it. It just takes a couple seconds. Give it a whirl. So thanks in advance. Again, this could be a shorter episode, but we're already kind of towards the end. I think we all kind of love this part. The the rumors. Let's start a new rumor. And I have decided that this week, the rumor is going to be that, I heard that Skip actually has a fleshlight that he named Tom Brady, that he not only fucks, but he cuddles with at night. Uh, he has a separate bed from Ernestine. It's like the old, like, I Love Lucy, like, they each have a single bed on other sides of the room. So Ernestine's on one side, and then Skip's on the other with his little fleshlight named Tom Brady. I don't know where the dog sleeps. I don't want to think about that. But that's the rumor this week. And, I don't know if I should do another story. Should I do a bonus story? I guess I have to now that I teased it. Let's close out with a bonus story, and then I'll say my goodbyes. Here's a good one. And some version of this will probably be on the next album out after Fart Safari 3, but, and, oh God, I hope I haven't told this one already. But my brother-in-law, when he was a kid, he went to the movies with some friends, and they saw Die Hard 2. And when he went to see Die Hard 2, one of his buddies turned to him at one point, and he goes, "Hey man, it's getting to the end of the movie." He turns to my brother-in-law and he's like, "Hey man, I really have to shit, but I don't want to miss the end of the movie." And my brother-in-law's like, "Okay, what do you want me to do about it?" And he kind of says it again, and he's just like, "What the fuck? Why are you even bothering me with this?" And he's probably also really zoned into the action-packed ending of Die Hard 2, the namesake for Fart Hard or Fart Harder, Fart Safari 2 Fart Harder. But finally, the kid has a solution to his problem. He slides his ass off the end of the chair, pulls down his pants, and takes a shit right there on the floor of the movie theater. And then he just pulls the pants back up and finishes the movie like it was nothing. And, I think that's an important lesson for all of us. I think that we could take something away from that, which is follow through, Like if you have like a goal or like a mission, don't let anything stop you. Just pull down your pants and shit it out, or whatever it is, like that was perseverance. He wanted to finish that movie and he wasn't letting anything stop him. So we can all be like that guy. My wife, my brother-in-law has told us that story a couple times. My wife found out that the guy that shit on the floor was her like childhood crush. And she was like, "Oh, that's gross that I like that guy." But now she's married to a guy that has 3 albums with Fart Safari in it. So there's that. By the way, that story, my favorite part to think about is the teenage kid covered in acne that finds that shit on the floor. He hates working at that movie theater, and he's just like got his little, broom and little scooper thingy, and he just comes across this shit on the floor, and he's like, "Oh man, this fucking job." What happened to that guy? Who cleaned the shit up? I want to know that. And hey, if you're out there, you're listening to the podcast, and you're the guy that cleaned shit up during Die Hard 2, give us a shout, please. I want your side of the story. I know who did it. All right, guys. Look, it's a little bit different episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I didn't want to not put any content, out there for you guys. I'm trying to do everything I can. So it's kind of a crazy week. And tomorrow I've got doing a bunch of podcasts and promo and stuff, and then I've got a show tomorrow night, and I'll try to get this at you guys real soon. Hope you dug it. Once again, rate, review, subscribe. Thanks for listening, And tune in next week, 69ers. Peace. Oh, wait. One more thing. Check it. I have the second taping for Fart Safari 3 Fart Hard with a Vengeance this Wednesday, a couple days away at Cap City Comedy Club in Austin, Texas, 8 p.m. And then I will be leaving the next morning for Dr. Grins in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'll be opening for Dan Cummins. I'll be there all weekend, the 21st through the 23rd. So come on out to that. All right. You guys have a good one. Peace.